So there's so much value in the transactions that we do and the data that we generate. And with UPI and digital payments, I think that has only become 10x more than where it used to be. But the value that people get out of that is still fairly limited. I think that will see a fundamental change in next 10 years. Yeah.
Yes, we'd like to open Q&A for the audience if you have some questions for Shashank. Mike, please. Yeah.
So Shashank, how do you see AI playing out in the payment space? I mean, how do you use your data for something, or how do you see it playing out for yourselves?
Yeah, so, payments is a very transactional system, right? So I think the infrastructure is something that already is working at scale. There are a lot of niche area in payments that will scale up in next few years, okay? And that's where I think AI can really play a role. So, your underwriting and credit are a straightforward thing. Your fraud management, for example, your KYC, customer onboarding, all of these areas are something that AI can make it really efficient and operate at scale, because even today, a large part of operations require human judgment that comes at the end of it, right? So even though we invest a lot in automation, we are still able to, let's say, automate 80 to 90% of the stuff. That last 10, 20% is like really difficult, especially at scale of India, because there are so many edge cases that come out, right? I think that is where, at least in a transactional system like payments, AI can really help and say, okay, the judgment part that can't be captured by simple machine learning algorithms is something that, new models of AI that are coming in with deep tech and deep neural networks, they should be able to really benefit from that and be able to automate that. So that is, I think, at least right now, I'm seeing that automation is something that can benefit a lot, and it will bring down the cost of operations for companies significantly in those areas. But I think there are a lot of use cases that will come out on top of payments in future, whether it's around marketing or whether it's around credit, or whether any interaction in terms of the customer support that happens. And all of those areas are something that payments itself will keep on evolving, and new age technologies will open up those areas for innovation.
Any further questions? Okay, one question from my side. You achieved unicorn status after facing numerous challenges. How do you manage risk while making decisions about fundraising and expansion? Very relevant now. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I think that risk management part is something that obviously is very core from a fintech perspective, right? So we have had a lot of learnings, right? So how can we develop a posture of understanding different kinds of risk that happens, right? Because that also is not like a static thing, and having a good thought process, having a good rigor around it, and it doesn't come naturally to a high growth company. That's also something that been there, right? So there are different ways that we have tried to figure out how we can develop a layer of understanding around it, right? So one is that obviously we have had now experts in different systems, whether it's around cyber fraud or security, whether it's around policies and regulatory compliances, or whether it's around like on the financial governance, and audit side, right? And having like really experienced folks who have been there, done that in some sense, right? Who can bring that thought process and can help the company shape up in terms of its work in those areas, right? That's one. Second, I think more from product development perspective, which is like really important, because again, the product development that we do interact with a very large set of end consumers, right? And saying, hey, like when we are doing a new product, have we developed on the guardrails, like how it's gonna impact a consumer who is interacting with payments or technology for the first time? So we try to storyboard that. So on certain areas where we know that there's increasing threshold of risk, right? And say, okay, like let's just look at these dimensions and storyboard and see how is this product or this feature gonna play out in those areas, and can we take care of those things from day one, which wouldn't have been the case let's say like 6-7 years ago, right? I think the third thing that we have done as a company, which I think is useful, and my sense is that a lot of other companies will also follow suit, is that we have got an advisory board of retired folks generally, but from across the domain of uh, you know RBI bureaucrats, right? People who have framed policies over like 2-3 decades and have seen the evolution of technology and the associated risk with it, right? And who can guide us at a board level, at a leadership level, and help us develop the same understanding. I think that's something that's been really useful for us in like last 1 year, because some of those people think very differently, but come from a very different vantage point, but obviously believe in the success of technology, in the power of technology, and the progress that it can create, right? So and that's something that I think most other fintech companies should also kind of emulate, right? So those are some of the concrete steps that I can talk about that we have taken.
Fantastic. No, thank you so much, Shashank, for being a part of this. If there are no further questions, he's available anyway here for the evening. So thank you so much, Shashank, and have a great night.